والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Okay, let's give us an overview, inshallah ta'ala, just because we've been through it a number of times, but it has its difficulties. Inshallah, this will be the last time we have to go, starting with the beginning of this section, right? The first chapter in this section was that there are two types of verbs. I mean, there's many types we can do. We can say fi'l. The fi'l is divided into three kinds. We could say al-Madi for past tense. It's horrible. Al-Madi for past tense, al-Mudari for present tense, and al-Amr for command, right? Past, present, command. We can say that, right? And this other way we can do it, another way we can look at it is two divisions, right? Sahih al-Akhar al-Akhir, asif, wa mu'tal al-Akhir, right? Sahih al-Akhar, well, it's just every other one. Mu'tal al-Akhar ends with alif, a waw, or a ya. Sahih al-Akhar ends with any other letter besides those three, right? So the reason for this division that we were given is because the rules that we learn, the main rules we learn, are going to be dealing with those verbs that have a sound ending, a ending with a consonant that basically a consonant, because the three vowels in Arabic are alif, are fatha, kasra, and dhamma, and they're associated with the alif, the waw, and the ya. They're weak, right? So basically those that end in a sound consonant, right? So most of our rules are going to be dealing with that. When it comes to dealing with the mu'tal al-akhir, then they may have a different rule, right? So that's one thing. Then the second chapter told us that about words in general, that they are kalimat in general are two kinds, right? We learned before three. We learned ism, fi'l, and harf, right? And then we just learned that fi'l is three. We learned it is al-Madi, al-Madi, al-Mudari, man, what's wrong with me today? Mudari, and al-Amr, which gives us basically five types of speech, right? Basically five general types of words. Harf or huruf or plural, fil amr, fil mudari, fil madi, and ism or asma for plural, right? Huruf, asma. Okay, another way to divide the fi'l, or another word to divide kalimat, is mabni or mu'rab and mabni. Meaning, mu'rab means the end will change, or the end will change, the ending, because in Nahw, we're dealing with the ends of words. In Nahw, we're dealing with the ends of words. This page here, where we see the verb going fa'ala, yaf'alu, fa'il, maf'ul, fi'l, fa'ala, with a shadda on the middle letter, right? Yufa'ilu, mufa'il, mufa'al, taf'il, fa'al, or fa'ala, ويفاعل مفاعل مفاعل مفاعلة أفعل يفعل مفعل, all that. This is called sarf. This is sarf. This is changing. If we remember from Nawaqid al-Islam, Naqid number 7, As-Sabi', number 7, the 7th Naqid, which was as-sihr, ومنه الصرف والعطف. And we said sarf is to make two people separate, to make a change from what's there, right? And al-atf is to bring them together. Two others are together. So sarf would be to make the change, right? So it changes to fa'ala, tafa'ala, infa'ala, if that's sarf. So that's dealing with basically the beginnings and the middles of words. Nahw, on the other hand, is dealing with the ends of words. So mu'rab, i'rab inside of al-ajrumiyya is that which, when you put something in front of it, will change the ending of the word. There are certain things that you can put in front of that word and it will change the endings of it, such as you have the word baytun. Baytun. If you put fi in front of that, then it's going to change to baytin, right? And you have ya'kulu, ya'kulu. If you put n in front of that, it'll become an ya'kula, right? Something in front of it changed the ending. That's what we deal with in Nahw, the changing of the endings of the words. As far as how the word changes inside and in the front, then that deals with sarf, right? And then mabni are those words which don't change, right? Don't change. Now, which words? I should have did this in a different color here. I should have said, no, I'm going to use that one, even though it doesn't really matter. Let me see. Should have used mabni, right? Mabni don't change, right? They don't change. Why am I doing this? So I can circle which ones change and which ones don't change. Number one, huruf are mabni. Fi is always going to be fi. It's going to have a sukoon on that ya, even though we don't write it normally. It's going to say fi, always. It's never going to be fi you, fi ya, fi ye. That's not going to happen. It's always going to be fi. Min is always going to be min, right? Fil amr is mabni. Fil madi is mabni, right? And so now we only have two types of words left, which are mu'rab, asma, nouns, and the fi'l mudari. And sometimes the fi'l mudari can be mabni. So even some of these are mabni. Some of them are mabni. So now we see we're only dealing with 2 categories out of 5 categories of words, just 3. That was the first thing. Then the question was, or the next chapter was, what are the types of bina? Meaning, some words are mabni ala dhamma. Some are mabni ala fatha. Some words are mabni ala kasra. Some words are mabni ala sukun. I don't think that's very hard. Some words are just going to have a kasra at the end and they're always going to have it. Some words are going to have a fatha at the end and they're always going to have it. Some words are going to have a dhamma at the end and they're always going to have it. Some words are going to have a sukun at the end and they're always going to have it. That's not a problem, I don't think. We just have to learn the words, no problem. And then we have words that change. Right? Those words which change, which are mu'rab, we're going to say that they are marfu' or mansub. Right? Or not mansub with a sin. Man, I'm off today. Sorry. Mansub. Right? And majroor and majzoom. We're going to say that these words which are mu'rab, they're either marfu' or mansub or majroor or majzoom. But a word, for instance, fi, it has that kasra here and then the sukun on the ya. We're not going to say fi is majzoom. No, we're going to say it's mabni ala sukun. Mabni ala sukun. Right? Now, then we did that. That was the next two sections. Mabni and mu'rab. Mabni and mu'rab. Then were the next two sections. The types of bina and the types of i'rab. Then we had the, if there's any questions, just ask. Interrupt me. You know that's the rule, right? Interrupt me, type it, whatever. Then we had the week before last, the types of bina. The types of bina for the fi'l madi. So the first word we have is fa'ala. Right? And we'll put another one next to it, jalasa. And we have fa'alat for she. Fa'alat. And then we have jalasat. Right? Then we have fa'alta and jalasta. We can see the pattern there, right? Am I wrong or am I right? Same thing. Fa'alti. Right? Jalasti. Fa'altu. Fa'altu. Jalastu. Okay, it's the same pattern there, right? And the same thing when we go over here and write our plurals of these forms. So we have fa'alu is the plural of fa'ala. They did, right? Jalasu, they sat, right? Fa'alna, they sat women. Jalasna, they sat women. Fa'altum, you guys did, plural, to men or to a mixed group, right? Jalastum, right? Fa'altunna. And as I said, I usually don't do the duals, at least in the beginning, just because we don't use them that much, and it just makes it a little easier to have these 10 to memorize at first. Although I probably should do them just because you do have to use them eventually, but that's how I've been doing it. So for now, that's what we'll do. Then we have fa'alna, and jalasna. Now, if we look at these words, fa'ala, jalasa, shariba, right? Akala, dhahaba, kharaja. Even if we were to take them and put them on any form, fa'ala, 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 af'ala, tafa'ala, tafa'ala, infa'ala, ifta'ala, if'alla, right? Istaf'ala. All of them, every single one of them has a, every single one of them has a fatha on the end. Every single, it does not matter which form it is, it has a fatha on the end. Right? So no matter what form of the 10 forms that we have in our Arabic forms of the verb, they're all going to be mabni ala fat. So this is going to go, this list that we're doing here is going to go for all 10 forms. Whether we put a shadda here, add an alif and a ta, a noon, whatever it is, it's going to be there. Fa'alat, this ta here, right? This ta here is the ta of feminine ta, rather, or whatever. So that does not have anything to do with the pronoun or anything. This is just the feminine ta. So it is, this is just on there to let you know that it's a female, right? So it's mabni ala fatha in all of the 10 forms. And it's going to go for all of these, so I don't have to keep saying all 10 forms in this, right? Then if we look, this ta here, let me see, this ta here, and this ta in jalasta, this ta in jalasti, jalastu, right? Jalastunna, jalastum, right? All of them are called the ta of, or ta al-mutaharrika, al-mutaharrika with a kasra, asif. And it just means the ta for the person who is, you know, this is like the file, who's doing it. Ta is enta, ti is enti, tu is ana, right? Tunna is tum and tunna, all that right there. All those are mabni ala sukoon as well. Right? All these are mabni ala sukoon. Right? Fa'alna, this is the noon, right? This is the noon for us. It's the noon dala ala fa'il, one who shows what was done, right? This one is mabni ala sukoon. Now the fact that this ta is the feminine ta is the only thing you really need to know, because the rest of them, right? The rest of the tas are called ta al-mutaharrika. And this one is mabni ala fatha. But you can see that. You can see the difference. That this ta is second. And these tas all have a vowel on them. Ta, ti, tu, right? Then fa'alna, this is the noon of niswa. The noon of feminine. Right? It's mabni ala sukoon. Right? And the only one we have left for now is fa'alu. Right? And we see here that when it has this fa'alu, this wow al-jama'a, this wow of plurality, then it's mabni ala dhamma. Our third letter in all of these is what we're looking at. Fa'ala is our third letter. Right? Fa'ala, this lam, the lam in these, the seen in these. The lam in these and the seen in these is what we're looking at. These, if we look at this column here, they have fathas on that lam. They're mabni ala fatha. These, in this first column that we're looking at, they're all sukoons, the next three of them. The same thing goes for this second group. The first two have a fatha on that seen, that third letter, and the next three have a sukoon. Same thing over here in this lam. The first one has a dhamma, and the next four have sukoons, meaning the next four are all mabni ala sukoon. And the same thing for the seen. The first one has a dhamma, the rest are mabni ala sukoon. So we see that in this past tense, right, that we, in these cases, we have mabni ala fatha, which is for he and she, huwa wa hiya, right? And we have mabni ala sukoon, we'll say dhamma, we'll make dhamma next. Dhamma, which is whom, right? And we have mabni ala sukoon, which is the rest of them, right? Anta, anti, and ana, hunna, antum, antunna, and nahnu. That's the rest of them. Mabni ala sukoon, that's the past tense. That's the past tense verb, and that's how they're mabni. Any questions? Any questions, Abdullah?
No.
Okay. Basically, if you learn the verb charts and how to make verbs into their various forms, this will almost be automatic for you. Even if you can't explain the rule, even if you can't tell someone that when it's this is ta mutaharrika, and this is noon in this one, this is waw al-jama'a, and this is noon dalal al-fa'il, and blah blah. Even if, and this is ta al-mu'annatha ta, the ta of the feminine, or the feminine ta, then even if you can't explain that, you'll know when looking at that third letter what it should have and what it's always going to have. So if we just go down and just do one more verb, we say arsala, whatever. Arsala. Just trying to go for a different form. Arsala. Here, this is our root here. So now we're not looking at the third with the seen. We're looking at the lam. Arsala, to send. Arsalat. Right? Arsalat. Arsalat. You see the lam still has it. Mabni ala fatha. Then we say arsalta. Arsalta. Because this ta has a vowel on it, this lam needs to be sukoon. We don't say arsalata. We say arsalta. Arsalti. Right? Arsaltu. I know I got a little sloppy there. Arsaltu. Arsalu. Arsalu. Our lam has a dhamma there, right? Arsalna. Arsalna. Our lam has a sukoon. Arsaltum. arsaltum. Our lam has a sukoon. Arsaltunna. Arsaltunna. Arsalna. Our lam has a sukoon. Alright? Just like that. No matter what form you do. Astaghfirullah, astaghfara, astaghfarat, astaghfarta, astaghfarti, astaghfartu, astaghfaru, astaghfarna, astaghfartum, astaghfartum, astaghfarna. We sought forgiveness. Same thing, using form 10. We're going to be mabni ala fatha for huwa wa hiya. We're going to be mabni ala sukoon every time our ta has a vowel on it. Right? We're going to be mabni ala sukoon for the noon and niswa, the feminine plural. We're going to be mabni ala sukoon for the one with the na here, right? And we're going to be mabni ala dhamma for the waw al jama'ah, the plural for the males. That's going to happen no matter what. It's the same for all 10 patterns. Oh, yep. Inshallah. Now, last week we started mabni ala fil amr. Right? Or the mabni of the fil amr. But the mabni with the fil amr is a little bit different in some of these, just because, man, it's making me mad, man. I can't delete these circles without, there we go. You gotta come over from the side first. Then these are a little bit different on how we make the command. They're a little bit different. So that's something we need to remember. First off, in the command, we're not going to do huwa. And we're not going to do hiya because we can't tell him and her to do something. We can only tell, and we're not going to do ana because I can't tell myself to do anything. We're not going to do nahnu. Right? We're not going to do hum. And we're not going to do hunna. We're not going to do those. We are going to tell anta, you, or nt, you to a female. Right? We are going to tell them. And we might tell antum. Right? And antunna, you to a bunch of men and to a bunch of women. We might tell you to do something. And we can also tell antuma, which would be the dual. We can also tell them just for the sake of saying so. Right? Just for the sake of bringing that up right now. Now, how do we make that verb? Right? How do we make that verb? We said we have to enter tajlis. Tajlisu. Tajlisina. Tajlisina. Tajlisuna. I know it should be one more. Tajlisuna wa tajlisna. Right? Okay, now we can tell them. Now how do we make it a command? We're going to say, we're going to drop our ties here. Right? We're going to drop our last vowel. But here on this ina, we're going to drop the whole noon. Right? We're going to say jlis. But since we have a sukoon on that first one, we're going to have to add an alif. Because we can't start with the sukoon. Same thing is going to go down here. We have ijlisi, but we can't start with a sukoon. We're going to put an alif. Same thing, cross out our ties, right? And we're going to drop our noons, right? Except here, we're going to leave it. So we're going to say here, we're going to say jlisu. You can't start with a sukoon. And we need to put an alif there for our protection and an alif there so we have a vowel in the beginning. And then we're going to say jlisna, right? Jlisna. That's noon and niswa. We're going to keep it there so we know who we're talking to. Add our alif, ijlisna. So ijlis, to enter. Ijlisi, to enti, to a girl. Ijlisu, to a group of men or mixed men and women. And ijlisna, to a group of women. Right now, what happens though when we have, I'm trying to look for my paper. Where's that? Chart 1. I gotta remember that. What happens though if we were to take, for instance, yufa'alu, we notice that this one has a sukoon on that second one. That's our first form. The one we were just doing is form 1. Form 1. Form 1 has, in the present tense, and that's what we're dealing with, that's sukoon on the fa. So we have to add our alif. But this form 2, it doesn't have a sukoon on the fa. It has a fatha. Right? It has a fatha. So when we say, I'm trying to think of a word. Tabayyanu. Tabayyanu. Right? When we drop our ta and get rid of our vowel there, we still have a fatha on our tabayyanu, not bayyan. We still have a fatha on our ba, so we don't have to add a alif. There's no need to do so. That alif that we added on ijlis, there's no need because the jim has a sukoon there, whereas the ba, it doesn't. Right? The ba, it doesn't. So bayyan, meaning clarify. Tabayyanu, clarify. Bayyan is clarify. Telling someone to clarify. So, when we say tabayyanina, I don't know if I put enough there. Tabayyanina, yeah. Come on. Bayanina. When we drop our ta in our end here, our noon, we say bayani. Bayani, meaning to a woman, clarify. Right? When we say tabayyanuna, I put too many now. I was worried about not putting enough in the day. I put too many, huh? Quick. Tabayyanuna. Tabayyanuna. Now when I drop my ta and my noon, I say bayyanu. Bayyanu. Telling a group of people to clarify. Right? Make it clear. Clarify. And when I have tabayyana, tabayyana, right? Tabayyana. I like that. Tabayyana. And I have bayyana. That's it. Right? Because of the noon, this will be doubled, right? I have tabayyan. Tabayyan, that's my noun, right? Tabayyan. Now when I add the noon and niswa here, I'm not going to say tabayyananna. No, I'm just going to add a noon, a shadda there, to make it easier for my pronunciation, right? Not tabayyananna. It's not gonna. That's not easy. So you just double that noon. So when I do it, I'm gonna say bayyanna, bayyanna, and that's how it's going to be. So I'm telling a group of women to clarify. I'm just dropping my ta. Now the same thing goes down for all 10. If we look, then our fatha is open here. Our fa has a vowel on it. If ala, right? We already had an alif in front of it, so we don't need to add another one. So for instance, let's see if I can erase these. Yes, I can. Okay. So now let's look at number 4. We'll use a one that we're familiar with in the Quran, which is aslama, right? Aslama. Alright, I'm off. Aslama yuslimu, which means to submit, to accept Islam. So we have tuslimu. You are submitting. Tuslimu. Right? We have tuslimina for a woman. Tuslimina. We have
that's one woman. Mina.
Yes. We have tuslimuna. And we have tuslimna. Tuslimna. Yeah, for female, when we're talking to a female, we say tajlisina, tashribina, takulina. We talk like that. We put the ina for talking to one female, right? So now we have tuslimu. We want to turn it into a command, right? We drop our ta, right? No. So then we say, and we drop this, Islam. But I'm thinking, let me see, amanu, amen, nam, Islam, right? Islam, like accept Islam, right? Then we drop our ta and our noon, right? And we say Islimi. Right? And we say Taslimuna, we drop our ta, say Slimu. Right? Slimu. And then drop our ta, but we keep this noon in this one for this one, and we say Slimna. Islimna. Right? Right? We have Aminu. Same thing. Aminu. We have Tu'minu. Right? Tu'minu. We say when we this is a little bit different. It's gonna be harder, right? Just because of the hamza in the beginning. I don't want to make it even more difficult. So anyway, when we see here form 4 has a sukoon on that fa, but it already has an alif there, so we have to put our alif back in there, right? So we tell someone tursilu, right? They're sending something. Tursilu, you are sending. Tursilu, I want to tell you to tursilu. Tursilu, right? You're sending something. Tursilu. You want to tell that person ursil. It's going to become ursil. We'll drop our ta. We need to put our alif back there because of the ra has a sukoon on it when we drop our ta. So we put our alif back and we say ursil. Send it. Right? Ursil li raqmak. Send me your number. Ursil li. Right? We want to tell someone tuhsinu. You're doing good. tuhsinu. You're doing good, right? You want to tell them do good. Ihsan. 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 Right?
So why that one takes a kasra and the other and it takes a kappa
Because
dhamma?
the way of form 4 is that the ayn has a kasra on it in the present tense. It's not hard. The thing is, all form 4s have a kasra, so that's a good thing. No matter if it's go back. If it's tuslimu, if it's tu'minu, if it's tuhsinu, right? Tuhsinu. If it's tursilu. No matter what form of this, these are all form 4 verbs. Tursilu. No matter what one of these that you have, they're all going to have a kasra on that middle letter, that middle ayn, that ayn kalima of the, right? They're all going to have it. Versus, for instance, we use the one on form 1, we say jalasa, right? Or tajlisu. See, here you go. And because we're using the present form, we say tajlisu. Tajlisu. So then we say ijlis, and it has a kasra. Same thing. What's the difference? It has a kasra just like Islam or ihsan or
Yeah,
irsal.
I know that, but it sounds like you put a dhamma. You said ursilu.
No,
So that was
irsal.
a kasra. Okay.
Right.
All right. That's what that's why I was asking.
Irsil li raqm. Irsil li raqm. Then you have, for instance, tashrabu. Tashrabu. You drink. Tashrabu. It's going to become ishrab. Now it has a fatha there.
Yeah.
Right? Now form 1 changes between a kasra, a fatha, and a dhamma here. Right? Whereas all the other forms, whatever form they are in the present tense, they never change. So even though the other forms seem a little more difficult, in all actuality they're easier because they're standard and consistent and they never change. So when we look at, we see in form 1 we're going to have to add an alif. Form 2 we don't need to because our fa has a vowel on it. Here, form 3, our fa has a vowel on it. We won't need to add an alif. Right? Form 4, our fa has a sukoon on it. We're going to add an alif. Yatafa'ala, we're going to not add an alif. Right? Yatafa'ala, we're not going to add an alif. It doesn't have it. Yanfa'ala, our noon has a sukoon on it. Right? That's our second letter. So when we drop our ta, when it becomes tanfa'ila, then we're going to need it because our noon has a sukoon. We're going to have to add an alif there. Yafta'ilu, our fa as a second letter has a sukoon, so we're going to need to add an alif. Yaf'alu, we're going to have to add an alif, and yastaf'ilu, we're going to have to add an alif. But these 4 we're not. The other ones we'll have to add our alif, and that's how we'll make our command verb. Now, when we make our command verb, which is what we're working on here, what are they? What are they built on? What are they built on? What are they mebni on? What are they stuck on, right? So we have, just to make it easy, we have taf'alu, taf'alu becomes, okay, taf'alu, we'll just do 2. Taf'alu, taf'alu, Lina. Tough. This is round. Tough. Lina. Then we have taf'aluna. Taf'aluna. And we have taf'alna. Basically, those are our. Now we also have taf'alani, which is plural, right? But I mean dual, but we'll worry about that inshallah. Not right now. Okay, we make this a command verb. We say if'al. If'al. We say if'ali. Right? We drop our noon, our ta. We say if'alu. We drop our noon in our ta. Boy, that's an ugly wow. If'alu. Right? We add our alif there for protection. If'alu. And here we say if'alna. Right? Okay, now that's our command verb. Now let's look at them. Let's look at them and see what they're built on, which is what we were looking at here. It says يبني الفعل الأمر على سكون إذا كان صحيح الآخر ولم يتصل به شيئا وكذلك إذا اتصلت به نون النسوة. So what page are we on? We're here. So there's nothing connected here. There's nothing connected in this first one. So we're saying it's built on a what? On a sukoon. If there's nothing here, it's built on a sukoon. As well, if it's the noon and niswa, then it's built on a sukoon. Right? Then it says, that's this rule that we read. Second one, وَيُبْنِي عَلَى الْفَتْحِ إِذَا اتصلت به نون التوكيد. Now we didn't do that, but we could tell someone, for instance, if'alna, right? If I could write it, if'alanna, because of this noon tawkeed, al-thaqira or khafifa, with or without the shadda, then it's going, it wouldn't be really with that, although it could be. It could be taf'alanna, right? No problem. But it's going to be built on this fatha. We didn't really go over that one today, but no problem. Right? If it's the noon and tawkeed, then it's on a fatha. وَيُبْنِي عَلَى حَرَفِ الْحَرْفَ إِلَّا إِذَا كَانَ مُعْتَلَ الْآخِرِ. So, if we had, for instance, the word تَدْعُو, تَدْعُو. Now we have mu'tal al-akhir. Right? This last letter is a weak letter. We're going to say...
That one not going to carry alif behind a while.
No, because this is tad'u. This is you call. Tad'una would be you guys call. Right? Would be you guys call. Tad'una. Here's tad'u. You call. Because da'a yad'u. That's how the word is. Yada'a. You see in the past tense, it's got this alif in the end. In the present tense, it's got this wow in the end.
Okay.
Da'a yad'u. So we make yad'u tad'u for you. Or here we could say tad'ina. Right? Tad'ina. You're making dua. Tad'ina. We're going to drop our weak letter, and we're going to say id'u or ud'u because of the dhamma. We're going to put a dhamma there. Ud'u. And that's going to be short, not ud'u, but ud'u. And the same thing is going to become here, is going to be ud'i. Ud'i, right? Ud'i. We're talking to a woman. Here we're going to say, right? Ud'u. And we're going to have it because of the waw al-jama'. This is not the same waw here. This is here, waw al-jama'. Like this. Anyway, because it's mu'tal al-akhir, it has a different rule. And the rule for that is mabni ala hadaf harf al-illa. Dropping the weak letter. Right? Dropping the weak letter. Right? ويبني على حذف النون إذا اتصل به ألف الاثنين. That was if it's two, a dual, and we didn't do that. Or the waw al-jama'a or the ya al-mukhataba. So when we look at this here, we drop our, I got so much written here, it's difficult to see now, right? But here it says if it's, we're going to skip this one for a minute, alif al-ithnain, because we didn't really deal with the two, right? But in the waw al-jama'a, which is in the plural, and in the ya al-mukhatiba, which is to the feminine, then we're just going to drop our noon. We say if'alu and put our alif there for our protection. And we say if'ali by just dropping our noon. And the sign is hadafa, right? Hadafa a noon. So here we're going to call this mabni ala hadaf noon, because we don't have our noon there. We don't have our noon there. That's what it's mabni on. Here it's mabni ala sukoon. And as far as what to do when it is noon al-tawkid and what to do when it's the harf al-illa, the mu'tal al-akhir, then that has a different rule, and we know that and we can study that, but we just put a lot of time on that to do it right now. If you want to do that next week, we can focus on just the harf, the huruf al-illa, and take some of those, no problem. But hopefully, first off, we need to know how to make a command in order to know what it's mabni on. And so that's what I tried to focus a little bit on today, how to make the command and then show what it's mabni on. So if'al, ishrab, right? It's always going to be a sukoon. Ijlis, ishrab, kul, qul, irkab. No matter what, it's going to be mabni ala sukoon. Irkabi, ijlisi, ishrabi, kulli, qulli. All of it's going to be mabni ala hadaf an-noon. Right? If'alu, ijlisu, ishrabu, kulu, qulu. All that's going to be mabni ala hadaf an-noon. You know, we say if'alna or ijlisna or ishrabna or udkhilna or ikhrajna is always going to be mabni ala sukoon. When we have the noon al-tawkid, the letter before it's always going to have a fatha on it, so it's going to be mabni ala fatha. And if you have a harf, if we have a harf al-illa, it's about to hang up.
15 seconds.
Let me see if I can add 5 minutes real quick. Okay, if we have a harf al-illa here, harf al-illa, then it's going to be mabni ala hadafa harf al-illa. So let me see if I can draw that next to here, and then I'll understand. Hopefully it'll make us understand. Okay.
Now how come this here don't look like a noon? Let me see, the third line up.
Where?
No, go back. Third line up.
Here? Here?
Yeah, I don't see nothing. Yeah, right there. So why yupni?
The noon is here.
I'm saying it just got the dot up there, but that just look like a yeah.
That little hump that goes up like that is the noon.
Oh man, you know. But look at the rest of them.
That's in the Quran too, brother. It's in the Quran like that. Sometimes like this, sometimes like this first one, and sometimes like the second one. It's like that in the Quran. Yeah. That's how it is.
You know, now the first one you can see the big distinction with the little hump there. You know, but this here just kind of rounded.
Yeah, but that's how it is in the Quran too. It's in both ways. Okay, so now let's look at this. We got these rules. We'll draw a line in between them. Right? Okay. Let's see. If it is, let me see if I can erase a little bit here, so I can write better. Okay, يبني فعل الأمر على سكون إذا كان صحيح الآخر ولم يتصل به شيء وكذلك إذا اتصلت به نون النسوة. So we're going to say على سكون for basically أنت وهن. The fi'l amr for these is going to be a sukoon. Let's see if I can put a better sukoon to make it clear, right? A sukoon like in the Quran. Alright? Mabni ala fatha, if it is be a noon at-tawkid. I'm putting the shadda there, but it necessarily doesn't have to be the shadda, but right, noon at-tawkid. مبني على فتح مبني على حذف حرف العلة إذا كان معتل الآخر. If it's thick, we'll just say that. That's basically what it means. It's thick. It has a weak verb. Then it's going to be مبني على حذف حرف العلة. I don't know how to really draw that. Maybe just put a line through it, right?
It'll be the alif, wa, and the ya.
Right, alif waw ya. If it ends in an alif waw ya, the way it's going to be mebni is if you're going to drop that alif waw or ya. And it's mebni ala hadaf noon, right? If it is antuma, if it is antum, and if it is anti. Okay? So if it's you to a male or them to females, it's mebni ala sukoon. If it's antuma, you two, male or female, antum, you guys, or anti, and we're talking to them, then it's mebni ala hadaf noon. Right? If it is has a harf illa at the end, it is mabni ala hadaf harf illa, on dropping the weak letter, right? And if it is a noon, a tawkid, a thaqila or khafifa, the heavy or the light emphasis noon, then it's going to be mabni ala fatha. If you can memorize that a little bit and learn how to do the verb chart, that's why I brought it up a little bit. You have to learn how to do the conjugation of the verbs. If you can learn that, then the rest of it is just going to kind of come automatically. The explanation of it won't necessarily come automatically, but you'll know how to do it. So this is kind of like just explaining you why you make it the way you make it, even though you've probably been making it your whole life, because as we said, this book is for Arabs who've been doing it the right way their whole life. So when you get to verbs that have, or books that have no vowels, you're going to know how to do it, because not only have you been doing it, you'll also know the rule. And